Hello, guys. Hi, dreamers. How are you? Um, we're back. So we're doing Gemini Cancer Cusp next. Um, Buckle up, guys, because it is, if you allow it and if you surrender it within, this energy is going to be beautiful and magical at the end of these next 3 to 4 weeks. We have walking alone and shadow work. Um, and I know that a lot of people get into the space of like not wanting to do shadow work or wanting to run away from shadow work because just the thought of it, just the sound of the word is kind of like triggering for some of you. But shadow work is something that is very important and it's something that never truly ends, right? If somebody tells you like I don't know my shadow work, I'm done with shadow work, it's like, sweetie, stop lying to yourself because that ain't the way that it works. There shadow work. I'm saying this after like literally being in that energy for like a whole year. But it looks different at every stage, right? And not all shadow work is crying and screaming and anger and fear and being terrified and being isolated. No, there's beauty in that shadow work, right? Within that shadow work there can be laughter, there can be smile, there can be there can be there is freedom. Let's put it this way. There is this release of like, whoa, that's what I was holding on to. Whoa, that was what I was feeling. Whoa, that was what that was, or this was, or whatever it was. So even though this next month for you guys, there is going to be some, the attention or the focus, let's put it this way, is meant to be on some type of shadow work, things that are resurfacing. And these are areas in your life where maybe you have started to do the work, right? And maybe it became too much, and then you kind of like was just like, okay, I need to pause this. Or you got to a certain and I like to use the word level because that's how I kind of like how I feel that it is, right? So like when I look at it, when, let's say, if we're talking about like fear, there's different levels of fear within shadow works, and that's the way that it's worked out for me anyways, right? When it comes to anger, there's like different levels within that anger of shadow works. And sometimes um mentally and emotionally, physically and spiritually, we're only able at a moment to work in level 1, right? Like we can't comprehend what the level 2 is going to be, or the level 3, or whatever it is. And therefore we go through these periods, these times where we have to go back in. And what I am asking you to do is not to resist it. Don't try and run away from it. And honestly, walk into it with humility, and walk into it with like from a sense of honor, to be honest with you, because not everyone that is on earth at this moment in time has the privilege. I'm not even gonna ni voy a empezar. The privilege to go ahead and do shadow work, right? For some people it is physically impossible, let's put it this way, where because of the lifestyle that they have, or because of the roles that they play, for some people it is emotionally impossible this lifetime. For some people it is spiritually impossible, whatever it is. So whenever I look at shadow work, I look at it as like, wow, this is a huge honor to be able to look at this part of my life. And it's not about changing who you are, right? It's not about saying that whatever is in the shadow is ugly, or it's nasty, or you have to get rid of it, all of this. And again, everybody has their own beliefs, everybody has their way of processing and dealing and connecting and perceiving things. I personally, when something is in the shadows, I want to see it, I want to understand it, I want to feel it, I want to know it, and I want to integrate it into who I am, into who I've become. Because at the end of the day, whatever is in that shadow is still a part of you. And it deserves to be heard, it deserves to be seen. And when you start to look at shadow work from that perspective, instead of like, oh, here comes the shadow work, like now I have to work on getting rid of my anger, I have to work on getting rid of my fear, I have to work on getting, you know what? That is not, and again, in my own personal belief, that is not what shadow work is, right? It's not about trying to take something, a part of you, and like tossing it off, because that's not what we're here for, right? We're here to learn, we're here to evolve. And yeah, through evolving, there are changes, but it's not like you're setting off to change is okay. So when I say like change, it's like you're not trying to change the anger into happiness, because it's not happiness, right? You're changing your perception and the way that you're integrating that anger, right? You're understanding where the anger is coming from, you're understanding where it originated, what triggers it, and how to deal with it. And how I like to say, when we have these things in our shadows, right? When it comes to like, and I'm very open, and I'm very like whatever, and people can think whatever the heck they want, to be honest with you. But I know, like, in my part, a big part of my shadow is revenge and vengefulness, and I can be very vengeful, right? And I can go towards revenge like there's no tomorrow. And honestly, like, I'll like, spirit will show me like, these are gonna be the consequences if you do that, and I'm gonna be like, where do I sign? Because I'm going down that road, right? But that is a part of me that the more that I try to suppress, right, the more that I try to hide from others and this and that, whenever it came out to play, you did not want to be around me, right? But the understanding of where that energy came from, where it originated, what triggers it, how do I deal with it, how do I connect, how do I integrate that into who I am now, so that when it does have to come out to play, because who knows, it may have to, you never know, is not taking full force. But again, that's just the way that I look at things. Because at the end of the day, you are who you are, and you are going to be you no matter what. And you can only hide. It's almost kind of like, there's this saying, no se puede tapar el sol con un dedo. You can't cover the sun with a finger, right? And so it's like, the more that you try to run away from your shadow work or your shadow self, or those areas that are in the shadows, eventually they come out. And then when they come out, they take full control, like, if you allow that energy to take full control. So this is where, like, look at it, that even though you're going to be doing shadow work for the next month, this is a gift of learning to integrate that energy into who you are at this moment in time. So let's go ahead and let's see. A lot of you are going to try to run away from this, or are going to try, like, to negotiate. Sorry, I have to say it that way because that's what it's coming out. A lot of you are going to be, like, negotiating, like, oh, Spirit, can we do this, like, after the holidays, or can we do this after this? And it's like, you've been putting this off for way too long. And to be honest with you, I don't see this being, like, I feel like some of you are really expecting, like, the worst of the worst when it comes to shadow work. But this seems something that is going, like, this energy feels like it's going to be worked through in a very, like, balanced way. So it's not gonna be like hours and days of, like, just crying and being, like, in this dark room and just, like, hating yourself. There is this balance where you're going to, how can I put it this way, like, the energy balances itself out with, like, laughter and with, like, joy, and the way again, and this is stating, or this is assuming, that you guys are going to surrender to Spirit when this surface up for you guys. There is a balance, a give and take within this healing energy as you do this shadow work, that if you really allow yourself to surrender, you really allow yourself to go ahead and do so, you are going to be very happy at the end of the month that you did this, and that you didn't walk away from it again. A lot of you are not giving yourself enough credit to know or to understand, I guess, that you are ready. And for a lot of you, this is emotionally, whatever this shadow whatever the shadow work has to do with is tied down to something traumatic that happened, and I'm picking up this age between like 8 years and like between 8 and 16 years old, and it is something that emotionally you may have felt in the past that you were not ready to deal with, but now it's coming up. And if it wasn't between the age of 8 to 16, it may have been something that occurred 8 to 16 years ago. But I'm really leaning more to this energy of like an 8 year old to 16 year old. And we have it is time to take action. So you're being asked to walk into this energy of shadow work with your head held high and be like, you know what, I'm here to work, I'm here to face this, I'm here to understand this. And just because, and I wanted to throw this out there, just because you're doing shadow work doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to be worked out all at once. It may just be an energy that wants to be seen, right? There was something that came out for me personally. I want to say like about a month, no, 2 months ago, and it came. The energy came up, and I'm aware of it, and I know that it's there, and I know how it feels, and I know all of this stuff, but I have not actually started to do like the deep work that I know is going to take to fully integrate that energy. You understand what I mean? So just because you're doing shadow work doesn't mean that you're going to be like in pain and hurting and all of this stuff. Sometimes the shadow work is simply being aware that something is there, being aware of how something feels, and then when you're ready to go ahead into those deeper spaces, then you will go into those deeper spaces. I hope that makes sense. And that is all that I have for you guys. And as always, thank you for all your love and support. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And if you haven't done so, go ahead and do so. Sending every single one of you love, strength, and blessing, guys. Take care. Love you all. Mwah. Bye bye.